Microphone working?
Okay, and welcome
to our first annual Sustainability Slam. It'd be great if it's annual, but anyway, imagine a beautiful fall evening and you're out with your best friends, your best sustainability friends, and we all get to come together here on this wonderful venue. So, my name is Derek Kamlisher, and I'm the program manager at the Office of Sustainability, and I have the honor of kicking things off tonight. I'll be an easy lead to follow, so bear with me. Our Sustainability Office, we're presenting this tonight, and it's my colleagues Eva Rock, Teely Hilliard, and myself. And we have a few colleagues who have worked on our planning committee. I want to recognize Kyla from the DHC, Jesse King from the Honors College, from the Business College. Also, who am I missing? Colt Buford from Dining. So, also I want to recognize our sponsor for this evening, Jeremy Flesch from Clearwater Credit Union. He'll be speaking with us a bit later, talk about one of the programs that they're launching. And I want to highlight Dining and their role tonight, also one of our sponsors, and the beautiful spread of food that we have out there. So I want you all to partake in what we have out there. So just so you know what's out there, it's flathead lake trout from native fish keepers from Lakeside, Montana, caught beef from Tura with La Petite bread. The farro is from Timeless Seeds, and that's served with butternut squash and pickled red onion from Western Montana Growers Co-op, and they're also providing the veggie platter that's out there. We want to recognize Western Montana Growers Co-op and their role at the university in enabling small farmers to be represented at scale at a place like the university, which is absolutely fantastic. So represent sustainability, let's do that. Cool Earth Creamery is with us tonight. They are set up in the lounge and they have some wonderful plant-based gelato. I hope you guys have been able to sample that. If you haven't, make sure you do. They have a few different flavors to try. And also, I want you to notice that all of the packaging tonight, single use, is all compostable. So we're trying to make this a zero waste event. You'll find compost containers outside and inside that you can use. The one exception, I believe, is Topo Chicos. You can recycle those, and those heavy plastic spoons. There's a couple places to leave those. We'll wash those and use those again. This is Campus Sustainability Month, and I want to highlight just a few events coming up. There's an Eco Essentials DIY workshop at the Makerspace tomorrow. There's a Bear Aware Fair on October 15th. There is a fall clothing swap on the Oval on October 16th. There's a campus sustainability tour on October 21st and a bike tune-up on October 23rd. All these details will be available on our webpage. Last thing is that we're grateful that MCAT is here to record the event. I believe we have some local media and some students that are also covering this event. We appreciate you all and thank you so much for being here. And last of all, with that, I just want to turn it over to Jeremy Flesch from Clearwater Credit Union.
Woo! Thank you, Derek. Good evening. I have been looking forward to this event since August 29th. That's the day when Eva Rock and I first spoke about this event. Thank you to Eva, thank you to Derek, thank you to the whole team and everybody that helped to make this happen. My name is Jeremy Flesch. I am part of the Home Energy Advisor at Clearwater Credit Union. I'm here with Jess Dolan from Clearwater. Jess is waving in the back. We are passionate about supporting you in your clean energy journey. That comes in many different forms based upon your goals. That may come in the form of a no-cost discussion where we can throw some ideas around and see what works for sustainability in your home and what doesn't work. It may also come in the form of a home energy assessment with a personalized plan just for you based upon your home, your lifestyle, your goals. It may come in the form of an energy efficiency loan to support new equipment or insulation, or one of a myriad of other energy efficiency solutions. It may also come in the form of a list of contractors that can do that work. Please reach out. We are genuinely excited to be here, genuinely excited to support you in your clean energy goals. And now on to the slam. Justin?
Hey folks, thanks for coming out tonight. This is a great turnout. Yeah, beautiful evening. We're sort of at peak Missoula. We have some fantastic speakers for you tonight. A couple of notes before we begin. Our speakers have prepared a 2-minute talk, okay? So you might hear, if they go much past that, you might hear a little bit softer version of the gong. Zoe, demonstrate for us, please. And such a gong is delivered with kindness, right? Along those lines, so we've got 16 speakers. There'll be a break midway through, 10 minutes to hit the bathroom, grab a drink, grab some of the amazing food. And then maybe if you're inspired by the first half of the event and you feel compelled to speak yourself, there'll be an opportunity for some impromptu sustainability slamming. So if you feel the itch, you'll have the chance to scratch it. Also, before we get started, let's remember that getting up and speaking in front of a group of people about something you care about takes tremendous courage. Some of our speakers have never done anything like this before, and they're putting themselves out there. That's a beautiful thing. I mean, I do this every day in the classroom, and I still get nervous in front of groups. So let's honor their courage with some respectful engagement. Please put your phones away. Lean forward. Smile and nod. Cues like that really help when you're up here. They make you feel more at ease. They make you feel more confident in the moment. And then finally, you might hear some ideas that make you feel uncomfortable tonight. And I kind of hope you do. And if that experience arises for you, I encourage you to think of that experience as something good and to learn from it. Okay, let's get into it with our first speaker. First up is Caroline Stevens from the Peas Farm. She will talk about motherhood in the Anthropocene. Caroline.
All right. A wise woman I know describes pregnancy and postpartum as a state of openness and great receptivity to the world. A year ago, after the birth of my son Charlie, I retained this openness. One day, as I drove down the road to town, a herd of deer crossed at the nose of my car. An old buck panted as he leapt down the hill to join the others. In his worried eyes, I saw my infant son. Those days, my first as a mother, I saw my son in all beings. I thought of how even the oldest buck was once speckled and small, nursing on his mother. I began to see my son everywhere, in the politicians who were once babies, the young men holding guns and images of war, people in line at the post office, some well cared for, others not nearly enough. All of us, once arm-bound, soft-skinned babies, not unlike my infant son. In the wake of this weight, I leaned into teaching Charlie the skills I thought he might need to survive in an uncertain world, to give our animals food and water, to relate well with other people, to harvest fruit. In a time of ecological and human destruction, of land taking and wall building, I told Charlie about abundance. What did we do today, Charlie? I said. We fed the pigs and chickens. We picked plums. We watched the magpies. Thank you, land, for the plums. Thank you, magpies. Thank you, sun and water, for growing them all. Some might call the awareness I had postpartum depression, but it was not. I was well. I ate, slept, worked, cared for my son. I wonder now if, instead of the baby blues, this openness I felt was a gift, a magical state in which the spirit of every being was made plain in all of our beauty and vulnerability. I wonder if that's what we need more of now, an awakeness to the depth of a mother's love, not just for her own kind, but for all.
That was amazing. Thank you, Caroline. And it takes a lot of courage to go first, so thank you for I don't know if you had much of a choice, but I'm grateful that you rose to the occasion. Next up, we have Marie Nelson, City of Missoula Stormwater Program Specialist. The title of her talk is 8,000 Mouths to the River.
Nobody talks about where stormwater goes. Rain falls, snow melts in the spring, and it just vanishes, right? Like socks in the dryer, or your favorite crochet hook in the couch. But the truth is, stormwater does not disappear. It runs wild. Down streets, through drains, through pipes, straight into our rivers and our aquifer, dragging along everything we've dropped, spilled, and forgotten. Because when it rains in Missoula, all of that water rushing off of roofs, down streets, and through parking lots, it does not go to the treatment plant. Those storm drains go straight into our waterways. Fun fact, Missoula has over 8,000 storm drains, and each one is like a mouth to the river, gulping polluted stormwater. 8,000 mouths. 8,000 chances to either pollute or protect our water. We love installing green infrastructure, wetlands, bioswales. They give us goosebumps. But here's the truth. Over 8,000 storm drains. We cannot fix that overnight. So while the powers that be plan for a greener future, we need your help today. And that's where the city's new Adopt a Drain program comes in. You pick a drain on the map, you clear it, care for it, keep an eye on it, give it a name. Yes, you get to name it, but keep it clean. Literally, though, we need you to keep it clean. Drainy McDrainface, Darth Vapor, whatever you want. Because it's not just a storm drain. It's your corner. It's your street. It's our Missoula. Every drop connects us. So consider adopting a drain and watch one small act turn one huge ripple of clean water for Missoula.
Marie, that was amazing. Thank you. And a wonderful call to action as well. Next we have Will Rice, Associate Professor of Outdoor Recreation and Wildland Management. Will's talk is titled Meet Teddy Tahoe.
Hi, everyone. As my title suggests, I teach and spend a lot of time researching outdoor recreation and wildland management. A lot of my research focuses on how we can change people's behavior in the outdoors. Specifically, how do we get people to leave no trace and follow leave no trace guidance, folks who maybe never been exposed to that before. In this past summer, my research took me to Lake Tahoe, which we often think of as a really pristine, famously blue environment, but Lake Tahoe is a really big littering problem. In fact, of any lakes that we have available data on globally, it is the third highest concentration of microplastics. So while it is this sort of pristine gem of the Sierra, it also has a lot of microplastics hanging out in it. And so we were interested in how do we change this? How do we get people to pick up their litter? And so my students, myself, my colleague Jeremy at the University of Kansas, we conducted a signage experiment. And tonight I'm going to show you our most effective sign, which is this bean. This is Teddy Tahoe. And Teddy's effective for a few reasons. Teddy was really effective because their message is really telegraphic and it rhymes and it sticks in your head and it makes you think about it. And when you see litter, you think of Teddy. To this end as well, Teddy is Lake Tahoe, so any litter affects Teddy directly. And so this activates what we call moral norms, where we start to think about our consequences and accept responsibility. And then Teddy also has these nice little accoutrements. Teddy's got sunglasses and a bandana, and somewhat like Smokey Bear. These things are really nice peripheral cues about authority. Teddy's somewhat of a sage, given Teddy's nostalgic nature. And so with tools like Teddy, we can get people to do the right thing and hopefully reduce the amount of microplastics accumulating in Lake Tahoe.
Awesome. Thanks, Will. All right, next we have Stasha Orwizewski. Did I get that right? I mean, I've been rehearsing that all afternoon with hopes of not messing it up. So Stasha manages U.S. Campus Dining Gardens, and the name of her talk is, I Don't Feel Like Being Resilient.
I didn't want to do this event. The Campus Dining Sustainability Committee suggested I speak about the flower industry, and I sent a half-hearted proposal to Eva and an email asking her to pick someone else. It's the end of the growing season, and I'm tired, feeling heartsick just existing in the world right now. I just want to go home, put on soft clothes, and tune out. Eva suggested I talk about that feeling instead, which in hindsight may have been a trick, but it worked, and here we are. What right do I have to feel so weighed down? I have a fulfilling job, enough food to eat, my children are safe in their beds at night. All of these things are enormous privileges in the world, and I suppose that that's the problem. Folks who work in or care about sustainability, where they're focused on the environment or social justice, are faced with overwhelming challenges every day. What do I do when we burn coal to power AI slop, when Doctors Without Borders has to stop operating in Gaza City, when our neighbors are arrested for having brown skin, when we wake up we see violence, ignorance, and menace? But I also see all of you, and we show up for each other. I've had to learn time and again that turning away doesn't help, and pajamas don't heal my heart. Those in the most desperate situations can't turn away or take a break. I came today because I wanted my friend to have a successful event. Tomorrow I'll teach someone how to plant a seed, and who knows about the next day. Some days this feels like enough, and other nights I still can't sleep. Jane Goodall, who recently passed, was a great hero of mine. She did the work until her dying day. She said, "What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make. You and I are not world famous. We each have a small and precious life full of gratitude and sorrow, and hope we can continue to turn toward each other, give of ourselves, and fight for all of us creatures, great and small, and wise and wonderful, in all of our brilliant difference, even if we don't feel like it." Thank you.
Stasha, thanks for tapping into some real emotion that I'm sure all of us can identify with. Thank you. Next we have Mike Foote, professional runner and creator of the Rut Mountain Runs. Before just a few moments ago, I thought I might be the biggest fan Mike had here, but 3 of his bigger fans just arrived, so I'm glad you made it here in time. Mike is going to talk about the sustainability journey of the Rut.
Hello. Testing. My time doesn't count yet. Okay. In 2013, I founded a trail running event in Big Sky, Montana called the Rut Mountain Runs. I was inspired by the big races I'd experienced as a professional trail runner and wanted to bring some of that world-class energy home to Montana. In our first year, we had 400 runners for a single-day event. Since then, the Rut has grown into the largest participation trail running race in North America, with 4,500 runners running across 6 distances over 3 days. While the success has been rewarding in many ways, it also comes with a growing footprint. In response, over time, we have developed a 3-pronged approach to address our impact. It sounds like we had a clear plan, but only in preparing for this talk did I realize any semblance of a strategy. First, we looked at our own waste. We used to go through nearly 12,000 paper cups in one weekend. Now we've gone completely cupless with the simple fix of asking our runners to carry their own water bottles. We've also dramatically reduced our reliance on single-use plastics and require buy-in from our vendors and partners to do the same. And we partner with a local waste management service to help us sort our compostable and recyclable waste. In 2025, we diverted 74% of our event waste from the landfill, up from 0% in earlier years. Second, we leveraged our community to fundraise for causes we believe in. For example, by simply adding a donation prompt during our registration, we've raised almost $15,000 for our friends at Climate Smart Missoula and their Footprint Fund in the last 2 years. Third, we began using our event as a platform to showcase our values. We've partnered with organizations like Protect Our Winters, the Inclusive Outdoors Project, and the Conservation Alliance to share their messages through on-site activations, panel discussions, and collaborative storytelling. Sustainability to me is a journey, not a destination. With the mindset that perfection is in the process, we've turned what once felt like a burden of growth into an opportunity to reduce our impact, to engage our community, and to build a culture of stewardship and care for the lands we belong to. So, What perceived obstacles in your own life and work can you turn into opportunities to share your values? And how will you invite others along on that journey with you? Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Next, we have a new member of the Missoula community, Lindsay McDonald. Lindsay says, "Dear Missoula, I see those sleeves rolled up." Welcome, Lindsay.
The shorty. All right, dear Missoula, I'm new to town. How much fun it has been to explore this place on a bicycle with two little humans. I'm going to share just a few hopeful sustainability observations I've made in my short time here, from that perspective of being on a bicycle. So first, it is faster, more joyful, more beautiful to ride across town on a bicycle than it is to drive, by far. You know, I've always loved that moment where you get to pass cars on a bicycle, but even more exhilarating than that is following the river with wildlife, pedestrians, other cyclists, no cars right next to you. That's what this place is. Turns out sustainability doesn't have to be just about suffering. It can be life-giving, joyful, more fun, better. Wow, good planning, Missoula. Next, my son loves pointing out deer on the bike. He's one, and he doesn't really have his R's down yet, so he says, "Dio!" Right? So we're biking along one day, and he says, "Dio!" And we see a little fawn that is stuck in a fence. It ended up being totally okay, but I tried to push it through, couldn't figure that out on my own. Put my head together with someone else walking by. We called Fish and Wildlife, and Brady was there in about 7 minutes. I don't know where he was coming from, but that feels fast. So in the bigger picture, Missoula, you take your wildlife really seriously. You know, I think the way that you see humans as part of the natural world, not above the natural world, is really impressive. And I think that that humility and orientation and perspective will really serves you well in complex sustainability challenges. And you take care of each other. I've felt a really warm welcome here. Your public library is incredible. You're grappling with challenging social justice issues. There are so many scrappy organizations doing incredible work. You're really on top of your street sweeping, and the list goes on. David Orr says that hope is a verb with its sleeves rolled up. Jane Goodall reminds us to stay hopeful even in dark times. Missoula, I see you engaging in active hope with sleeves rolled up. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, Lindsay, thank you. It seems like you maybe found your people here in Missoula. Okay, next we have Frances DeForest, registered nurse and maker of medicines. Frances will speak about hemp for hope and hemp for victory. Welcome, Frances.
Go down to Hot Springs for this. Okay, so I'm going to read a little bit about hemp. The hemp plant has thousands of years of utilization and reverence from humankind. In 1620, Elizabethan-era poet John Taylor wrote, "The praise of hemp seed. Sweet sacred muses, my invention raise, unto the life to right great hemp seeds praise." Then going on to describe its uses in making clothes, cordage, halters, ropes, sails, and even as medicine, recalling hemp as relieving all scatteredness in man. In the early 1900s in the United States, hemp for victory was the call during the years of the war, until overtaxation led to decreased production and hemp was made illegal. Hemp today brings a new hope. With the passing of the U.S. Farm Bill in 2019, hemp was reborn into modern society with the new victory call of hemp for peace. Hemp is an active product in the Montana agricultural industry with a focus of production shifting from CBD towards fiber and food. This year, my business, We Stand for the Trees, hosted 2 workshops led by international known hemp builder Sergei Kovalenko, whose family is from Ukraine. He's the CEO of Hempire. We demonstrated a natural building process using all products sourced in Montana, hemp, timber, lime, and volunteers. to build a small children's playhouse and demonstrate carbon capturing and fire and mold resistant housing using that children's playhouse as a sample, and also a friendship bench at the Dixon Mercantile, both which are still under construction. Anyway, I think that hemp supports a balanced market growth for local producers and workers. As a nurse and member of the Alliance of Nurses for Healthy Environments, I suggest hemp as a viable and important agricultural crop that can improve our environment and the health of our communities and our economy.
Thank you, Francis. Okay, our last speaker before the break is Jeremy Flesh from Clearwater Credit Union, our sponsor this evening. Jeremy has prepared a poem for us titled Next.
This work is difficult. This work enables us to think creatively. This work is worth it. We can. We can pull together and look out for our neighbors. We can protect open space for all to enjoy. We can eat more plants and less animals. We can improve our soils to store more carbon. We can transition to clean energy sources. We can install efficient appliances. We can insulate our homes and buildings. We can install solar panels. We can improve our indoor air. We can care for people we will never meet. We can demonstrate respect for ourselves and each other. We can gather our individual steps to create large collective action. We can act with our head and our heart and our feet. We can.
Oh, that was lovely. Thanks to all the speakers from the first block. Now we have a break. Let's take 10 minutes, refresh yourselves, and if you feel the urge to do your own slam, the mic will be open for a few moments after the break. But yeah, let's reconvene in 10 minutes. Thanks. Okay, so we primed the pump with one impromptu speaker with the courage to jump in. We have Becky Douglas from Heritage Timber. Becky, thanks for being willing to do this unplanned, live without a net. Welcome, Becky.
Thank you so much for coming here. It is incredible to see so many fabulous people and hear all the incredible work you're doing. So the built environment, which means the patio that we're sitting on, the homes that we live in, the universities we attend, the jobs we go to, the businesses we shop at, that all has the capacity to connect us more deeply with our neighbors, with the planet, with beauty and history. I'm just going to tell you a little story what happened in a minute and a half that really made my work of deconstructing buildings and selling reclaimed materials feel like it deeply connected me to the Missoula community. And this work was started 31 years ago by my partner in life and work, Gary Delp. I was at an event at the Butterfly Garden, and we were told to turn to somebody we didn't know, introduce ourselves. I asked what she did. She asked what I do. I said, we take buildings down and we reuse them and sell the reclaimed materials. And she kind of looked at me and I said, oh, when you walked in this building, behind the reception area, there was some wood. She's like, I noticed that. And I said, well, that was material that was in the maintenance shed that was right where we're sitting that we deconstructed a few years ago. And then they used it in this building. And then there was a moment of silence. And I said, oh, did you go in the garden? There's this really cool shade structure that was designed by MMW Architects that was created by Climate Smart that used our material. Oh, and then did you see The grandstands, we deconstructed those last year or 2 years ago, November, and that material went into businesses all around Missoula. And when I was selling that material, I got to talk with business owners, I got to talk with people who grew up going there, and I felt deeply connected to the community. So sustainability can make you feel connected and have a wonderful impact at the same time. Thank you.
Amazing, Becky. No preparation. Fantastic. Anybody else want to take a crack at it? It's not all that scary up here. No? Okay. Well, if you feel the urge later on, maybe your time will come. Anyway, let's get back into the second slate of speakers. We have Taylor Hilliard, University of Montana's Sustainability Engagement Coordinator. Taylor's talk is titled, Your Student Sustainability Dollars at Work.
$1.7 million. That's how much student sustainability impact we've seen through the Kless Fund since 2009. It all started with one student, Sunny Kless, who proposed a student sustainability fee. First, it was a $4 opt-out, then $6, then a $6 mandatory fee, and now it's a $9 each semester fee. One student, Grant Martin, proposed installing a water bottle fill station in Gallagher. Today there are at least 15 across campus funded by Kless, and we have allotted $10,000 each year to continue to expand that program. One student, Kurt Dennis, and a few friends received funding for a tiny solar array on Todd Building. Now, over $336,000 has been invested in roughly 200 kilowatts of solar across campus. One student, Anton Gabrielson, secured funding for reusable to-go boxes at the, at the food zoo. That program is still in use today at the Lodge, which is a LEED Gold building. One student, Katie Coates, received funding for composting in what was then Rise and Rooted. Now compost is available at least 7 buildings on campus. And also through Kless, it just expanded to Lewis and Clark villages. One student, former ASUM President Zach Brown, received funding to install smart meters across campus buildings. Since then, we've invested $140,000 in metering infrastructure, and facilities now uses Energy Cap software to track and manage our utilities data. A couple students, members of BearSmart UM, received funding for 2 BearSafe garbage cans. Now, BearSafe garbage cans can be found all across campus, along with new compost enclosures, BearSmart signage, and other measures that reduce human and wildlife interaction. Finally, you are that one student. You may not know what legacy you will build here at UM, but through your ideas and actions, you can carry forward our UM's mission of resourceful stewardship of the land that sustains us. Thank you.
Taylor, that was amazing. You smuggled like 30 stories into one slam, so well done. Next we have Devin Morales from Cool Earth Creamery. Let's thank Devin for the amazing gelato this evening. Yeah. Devin's talk is titled The Importance of a Sustainable Business Model for a Warming Climate. Welcome, Devin.
So I was talking with a friend the other day and mentioned how difficult it is not to feel enmoored by all that is going on in the world. The craziness of our politics at home and abroad, the stark gulf between the haves and the have-nots, and the stalled action on climate change. When I reflect on my business, on the business I have spent the last 5 years steadfastly building, it is hard not to feel that our business model, one based on a genuine commitment to sustainability and a certain environmental ethic, is out of step with our times. Thankfully, more often than not, I can see through the craziness that the act of doing something, no matter how small it may seem, feels better than doing nothing. In my more optimistic moments, I find myself genuinely enthralled and exhilarated by the challenge I have set out for myself and for this business. And in my more defiant moments, I firmly believe that steadfast commitment to building a sustainable business model, one informed by years of experience as an engineer, at home and abroad, in war and in peace, in failure and success, isn't just a salvo for my soul, it is a prerequisite for the financial success, security, and long-term stability of our company. I understand the impulse to believe that technology will lead us to a more sustainable future. The problem with this approach is that the algorithm, by its very nature, has to assess, weigh, and weed out variables to converge to a working solution. The question begs, how does this precisely work, in the infamous words of Donald Rumsfeld, when there are so many unknown unknowns? It is the nimbleness and the ingenuity of the human mind, filtered through our emotional responses to the world around us, that allows us to suss out nuance and from complexity, seek solutions tempered by an understanding of the pain and suffering, human or otherwise, and pivot as needed to survive and thrive in an age of climate change and chaos. I believe these are the true building blocks to a sustainable business.
Thank you, Devin. You're right. Sustainability is good business. Next, we have Caleb Burns, the owner of Approach Design Build. Caleb's talk is titled Building Home.
So, I was almost born in a cave. I would have been if my bleeding mom hadn't jumped in our rowboat and rowed herself across the channel from Guimas Island to Anacortes, where the heroes at the hospital executed an emergency C-section and saved both of our lives. This was really the last straw for my parents and signaled the end of our time in the Pacific Northwest. Too much rain, too much development shadowing the last throes of their hippie back-to-the-land dream. My mom and dad decided to make their way to the land of enchantment. We moved from the islands to Ojito, an organic farming commune, and built a shack at the base of a windmill. My dad lived in an adjacent teepee that had a waterbed with a big king snake beneath it to protect him from the rattlers. After the owner of the farm, sober ironically, was killed when he was hit by a beer truck while biking, we were evicted and bopped from shelter to shack throughout northern New Mexico. My dad got a job as an extra in the Western movie Silverado, then landed the job caretaking the movie set. We lived in a fifth wheel there for 2 years. The movie set was all facades, except for the saloon, jail, and church, which were real buildings. This was all surrounded by 150,000 acres of ranch land. At age 5, I decided to be a cowboy. After Silverado burned down, we moved into a rural, rundown old house near the Pecos River. This one we were able to occupy and trade for plasticking the window openings and painting over the graffiti that the family had left after a brief stint living there in the 70s. Yeah, that family. After that fell apart, we moved to a ranch caretaker's trailer and trade for caring for the fading ranch's fading matriarch. Years later, I learned that there was a Picasso and a Gauguin in the ballroom, but there were also snakes in the pool and a rural poverty and loneliness that we needed to escape. After a few more moves and a few more schools, we got it together and traveled north and lived in a haunted and drafty farmhouse through a couple of frigid Minnesota winters. By the end of high school, we finally lived in a town, in a house with windows and electricity, but we had left the magic of the West and the wealth of our public land behind us. Fortunately, my sisters introduced me to everything Montana, and here I found my home. And here is where we buried my mom in a natural cemetery below Swan Peak. I did what children raised by Johnny Appleseed parents often do. I set down roots. I found that a childhood without stable housing and shelter has fueled a passion in creating it. Wanting stability for all drives me to lessen the impact of the shelter that I design and build. Thank you.
Thanks, Caleb, and you left the mic in the right place. You had a more interesting first 5 years than I think I've had an entire life, so thank you for sharing all of that. Next, we have Hannah Thornton, a student with a particular interest in fashion and sustainability. Hannah will share some easy ways to slay sustainability.
Hello. So I've always been very fond of both sustainability and fashion. My parents made a perhaps large mistake in buying me like an Eco for Kids book when I was a kid, and then I was like, cool, that's my personality. And then like got me like a fashion runway, and I was like, the other one, cool. Here's some ways to slay sustainably. I think that a lot of us here know about the fashion industry and just the strong weight that comes with the fashion industry, how many textiles we're constantly producing and shoving out and putting into waterways. And it gets really, really daunting and really depressing really fast. So my aim is to make it look more fun and just less of a conversion and more of, here's just ways to implement it, because next thing you know, you wake up and you're like, oh, my whole outfit is thrifted. It's a wonderful feeling. So, the hat and the jacket I thrifted abroad. The only things that I have firsthand here are one of this chain for my necklace and this other necklace. Everything else I got secondhand. These two are from different clothing swaps here in Missoula, and then I even thrifted the shoes. And a fun way to, if you have an item that you like, but you want to give it a little pizzazz, DIY is always an option. Now, you can felt that way, you can darn, you can do sashiko stitch, little punk patch is always a good option. And yeah, you can mend things like that. I have a friend who dyes different things and then adds little stamps on them. And then actually my earrings are hard yerb cans. So you can even do that. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
I was glad we got through that one. My daughters told me I was not allowed to say the word slay. But we did it. Anyway. Next is Andre Dinu, an ecologist and soccer player who will talk about students as a part of the community.
So, dreams come true, right? That's a saying, and I just wanted to share that here at the university, at our university. I think it was 2009, and there was a dream, a hope that we can somehow empower students to be a more active member of the community, and that they can promote also local sustainability at the same time. And the dream, it's actually been alive since 2009, and it goes on today. It's called the Flat. So at the flat, every year 6 students are living together, and we are trying to learn practical skills on how to promote these ecological friendly lifestyles. And we are also collaborating with local organizations in the community to just have workshops and events on sustainability themes. And I think one of our philosophical realization that we wanted to share with you was that living at the flat is like a smaller scale example of living on planet Earth, because every year at the flat there is a new generation forming, and they build on the legacy that the previous generation created, and we are trying to add our contribution and share it towards the next generation. And I think that's something we've been reflecting a lot lately, and we are asking ourselves, and we realize that we are the current generation of maybe flatmates of planet Earth. And when I say we, I'm talking about all of us, because we are all the flatmates of planet Earth. So our question is, how can we add our contribution and let something for the previous generation too? Yeah, that's something we wanted to share, because we've been reflecting a lot, because we ain't gonna be at the flat forever, so we'll have to go, but still use these learnings. And if I still have a few seconds, Derek, right here, he's the person that had that dream of the Flats. He was the founder. So it's all possible because of people like you, and we would just like to thank you publicly. Thank you.
Thanks, what a great sentiment. We're all flatmates. Yeah. Next we have Sam Forstag. Forstag, which is it? Forstag, okay, there we go. Smoke jumper and a local union leader. Sam will talk about wildfire, advocacy, and hope. Welcome, Sam.
Hey, I'm Sam. I've spent the better part of the last decade working wildfire in the summers and winters here or in Helena organizing and advocating for conservation, civil rights, housing, homeless services, you name it. And refreshingly different as those jobs may be, they're often surprisingly similar. On one hand, when you're on a ripping wildfire in northwest Montana, you might work 16 plus hours a day, cutting and digging fire line, and you'll spend more mornings than you'd like waking to find slops and spots where the fire's found its way across our line in the night. And when you're organizing across a state as big as Montana, or showing up to the state capitol at 6 a.m. each day to work on sustainability or housing or what have you, you'll have more mornings than you'd like where you find the same thing. New fires in every county or committee that you've got to go chase down as quick as you can. But when you fought enough fire, you learn that there's a poetry to these things too. That if you can just keep up with it till nightfall, you can start catching that thing when the sun sets or the backup arrives. That usually with lightning comes rain, and if you get there fast enough, you can use that moisture to put it out. That a sundog, that little circle that shows up around the sun sometimes, usually means clouds or rain coming the next day, and that even when it's unbearably hot and dry for days or weeks, the rains or snow always comes eventually. And as we're fighting for the sort of sustainability we need to keep a livable world for the kids we might want to have, we need a movement where our politics or policies are a bit of poetry too. That's something we've lost right now, but it doesn't have to be, because there's a consonance between the cause of conservation and that of poor or working folks. There's a rhyme and a rhythm to the way people take back power when things have gone too far, like a forest regrows after a wildfire. Backup will arrive, the rains will come, and together we might just get this thing hooked. That's sustainability, that's solidarity, and while I probably am owed a gong by now, I'm over time. I have just a brief bit of poetry from Emily Dickinson that I think of often. It goes, in this short life that lasts only an hour, how little, how much is within our power.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Sam. Okay, next we have University of Montana professor and acclaimed studio potter, Julia Galloway. Julia's talk is titled, That Crazy Gal in Montana.
Hey there, I'm Julia, and I'm a potter. Is that all right? All right. So I'm a potter, and a couple of years ago I started to get very, very concerned about the condition of our natural environment. And one of the best ways that I could figure out how to address this concern would be to work with endangered species, because the problem is we just don't see them anymore, right? So they're going, gone. So I started making all these pots with endangered species on them. And I was selling them because I sell my work, I make pots that are useful. And then I started to have this terrible feeling that I was profiting off the sorrow of others, and that was really a problem. So I thought, all right, well, what makes sense here? Like, what can I do here? So I looked at the recipe of my clay, what goes in my clay, and there's this ingredient called silica, which is in my clay body, and it's the glass in my clay that makes it really strong. And I thought, silica is a pretty common ingredient out there in the ground. And so I went on to Google Maps, and I wrote silica mine, and there's a silica mine in La Salle outside of Chicago. So I went up onto Google Earth, and I zoomed in, and I saw this mine, and that's where some of my clay came from. And I was like, wow, that is really something. That's where some of my clay comes from. So I thought, and I was looking, thinking about what I could do to sort of somehow pay back what I'm taking out, right? Like, even though it's going to a good purpose, clay is mining, right? I'm mining silica out of the ground just north of Chicago, putting it in my clay body. So I looked and looked and looked, and then I kind of zoomed back, and there was, right on the side of the map, there was this big green area. And I thought, what is that? So I Googled, and it turns out it's a land trust. And there's a land trust that kind of butts up against the silica mine. And I thought, well, I'm going to send a percentage of all of my sales to that land trust. And it started slowly, like $22.15. And then we got up to like $36 because I would send a percentage of my sales every month. We got up to $72 one month, and right around Christmas, well, we got up to about $500. And I have to say, the people who are in this land trust think this crazy woman in Montana is sending them these very bizarre little amounts of money. But they seem delighted.
Thank you, Julia. Okay, finally, our last speaker offers us an international perspective. Seitaro Nishi is an exchange student, and his talk is titled Differences I Realized Between My Country and the United States About Sustainability. Welcome, Seitaro.
Hi, I'm Seitaro. I'm an international student. I'm new in United States, so I'm going to talk about difference between United States and Japan about sustainability. So in Japan, we have a spirit of taking care of everything around us. Like, for example, animal and food, flower, like this mic as well, and of course people. And we do not throw it away easily. Like, so, and in comparison here, I was surprised at how much food Americans throw away at the stadium when I work as a zero waste team. But in United States, like, they have very good system for sorting waste, garbage, and compost, recycle, and like what you are doing. Like, in other words, in Japan, we tended to deal with environment problem individually while you are work together as a group. So I want to talk about current situation in Japan. As technology develops, many things are imported and produced, and our society becomes overstaffed with goods. As a result, we forgot appreciation for what we have and throw things away without thinking. The spirit I mentioned originally come from poverty and religion. So I think now in Japan, we need to create projects like Americans are doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Seitaro. Okay, let's recognize all these courageous speakers again. This was awesome. Yeah. That's it for the first annual. Do we call it annual now? Derek? Eva? Yeah. Let's call it annual Sustainability Slam. What's that? Anyway. As we close, please join me in thanking the University of Montana Office of Sustainability and the Sustainable Campus Committee for creating this wonderful event. Clearwater Credit Union for your generous sponsorship, the Davidson Honors College for letting us use this fantastic space, Campus Dining for the amazing food, Mike Post from the School of Theater and Dance for setting up the lights. How are these lights working for me? Okay. I've been told I have a voice for radio, or a face for radio, I guess it is. I can't even keep it straight. MCAT and Ron Shaw for recording the evening for us. And finally, Cool Earth Creamery for that yummy gelato. Finally, great thanks to all of our sustainability slammers and to all of you for caring enough to show up tonight. Thanks.